Welcome back to part, is this 7? I think it is. That's what we're going to call it anyway. I'm getting the old Sporty 40 back on the road. Last week we got us a transmission cross member made. This week, let's do some motor mounts. Maybe we'll get the steering rack mounted. I don't know. But we can't do it talking to y'all, so let's get busy. Well, firstly, I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but there's about a 5-gallon bucket of kitty litter under the car. Yes, sir, we got us a small Earl spill. The other night, I put my jack under the motor, trying to raise it up, get my carburetor level. I had that 2x8, whatever it is, under the oil pan, to keep from crushing it with the jack. Well, that drain plug leaks a little bit all the time. I can't make it stop. Well, somehow that 2x under there made it leak really, really bad. Come in next morning and it had half a gallon of Earl all over the floor. So I got to clean that up before we can do anything else. But let me tell you this too. Firstly, well, I guess it'll be secondly, let me say I appreciate all of the kind words about my knee. I took the last 3 days off. I've done absolutely nothing pretty much. And let me tell you, I think I could get used to that eventually, but I can't do that. I did start taking glucosamine, and it's helped tremendously. My knee's much better. Still, ain't 100%, but it's much better than it was. Anyway, appreciate all the concern about my knee. Let me get this cleaned up, and I'll show you what we're going to do first. I already got the Earl spill cleaned up, and then I went ahead and jacked the motor up. As you can tell, the carburetor device, it's pretty level. It might need to come up just a little more, but I'm not trying to get perfect because I'll never be driving on a perfect road. Anyway, I got it blocked up under these motor mounts because you need the weight back on the suspension to get it truly level. Well, we got us an issue. The distributor, well, it's hitting the firewall. Can't turn it at all. It's smashed in there pretty good. What has happened is sometime whilst we was doing the transmission cross member, the motor slid back all the way. You can't see it, because I got these blocks in the way, but it slid all the way back. Yes, sir. So what we got to do first thing, pull that cross member out and go ahead and slot them transmission mount holes. So let me get under there and do that, and I think I might try to do it on the mill over at Mama's, because I don't believe my cutoff wheel will do it. Anyway, let me get it out of there real quick. Ooba dooba dooba. Kaplow. Get out of here. Well, I got it set up on the old mill here. I'm gonna mill it out to the edge of this square tubing, this back side here. I'm gonna do about 50 thousandths per pass, because this old mill, it's literally probably 100 years old. Yes, sir. It's a Reed Prentice number 3-V, I think is what it says right over yonder. She's old, but you know what? I have milled a whole lot of stuff on here. Anyway, let me get these slotted real quick. All right, there are my slots. Got them cleaned up with the grinder. Let's get them on the car and see if that don't help us out with the clearance on the distributor. Oh, I got it backwards. That freaked me out for a minute. There's my other bolt Alright, let me run them up a little bit, but not completely tight. Then we'll scoot her forwards. Alright, let's get out there and scoot her yon way. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let me get my big old prying bar. Alright, let me pry this thing forwards. See if that don't help us out some. Oh yeah. Whole bunches, whole bunches. Let me get her centered up a little bit. Approximately right there. Well, I do believe the motor is setting exactly where it needs to be now. I got her centered this way. I can stick my finger in between the distributor and the firewall. There's plenty of room there. And we can turn it if we got to adjust the timing. Oh yeah. Motor, the carburetor anyway, top of the carburetor is pretty much perfectly level. Yes, sir. So, it is time to start doing some motor mounts finally. Here's what I'm thinking on motor mounts. As you can see, we got 3 bolts, so we're going to make that plate triangular, probably. And then this bolt, it comes really close to that header, so we'll have to be mindful of that. Here is the motor mount. This is what this mount will sit on top of. It'll be approximately right there, and then this motor mount that mounts to the block will sit on top of this. This will sit on top of the mount that attaches to the frame. I believe we'll start with making this plate shear, and I'll do some speculating and measuring and figure out where we're going to put this, and then we might go ahead and make this plate here that goes on the frame. Alright, here's what I'm doing. This is a stock mount. Got it clamped to this piece of 3/16. What we're going to do is I'm going to transfer punch it. Then I'm going to drill that hole, bring it back over here, bolt it down, do this one, bolt it down, do that, and bolt it down. Just like I did the other stuff, you know. I think firstly what I need to do is make this piece of metal a little smaller. So if I can find me a marker or something to mark with, we're going to cut her off about right there. Alright, now they got the first hole drilled. We're going to bolt it together just like this right there. Then we'll mark our next hole. If I can find my punch. Then we'll do our second hole. Just like that right there. Y'all get the idea. I'll be back when I get these drilled. Alright, I got my holes drilled out. Been trying to figure out, you know, how I'm going to do the shape of it. I think what I'm going to do, I just got under there and measured. I'm going to leave myself 3/16 of an inch from the side of the hole to the edge of my piece right here. I'm going to mark it just like that right there and do the same thing on the top. And then do it on the bottom also, about right there. Then I'm going to trace from those lines, make a triangle, then just round the corners off and cut it out with a plasma cutter. I think we'll be okay. Let me get this traced out and then we'll cut it. right, here's my plate. I got a little carried away on that first side that I cut. I got a little too close to my holes, but I think it'll be all right. Fixing to put it on the car, make sure you know, it ain't interfering with my headers. Then after that, I may pull that header off, just get it out of the way, and then go to figuring on the rest of it. With Artez, it bolts up pretty good. The bolt holes were perfect. This corner up here on this header, it might hit just a little bit. Do a little bit of grinding on that, and I think it'll be just fine and dandly. Now what I gotta do is get this pancake biscuit type, whatever you want to call it, motor mount down in here, figure out the height, and then I'll tell you what, let me make a drawing and I'll just show you what I'm planning on making. All right, here's my illustrious drawing. I was an artist before becoming a mechanic. Anyway, here's your block over here. Here's the frame. This is the front view, front of the car. Here's your bosses that plate I just made are bolted to. Then here's that big biscuit motor mount. Well, all I'm gonna do is make a little triangle to weld to the plate we just made. That'll sit on top of that motor mount. And then I'll have another mount on the frame, triangular, with that little motor mount on the bottom. It'll be sandwiched in between them. Motor will sit down on that, bolts runs through the middle, that's it. So let me get this figured out, you know, measurements for this triangular stuff, and then we'll cut that out and weld it up. All right, here's what I've come up with so far. I got this piece right here. I've determined that it needs to be about 4 inches long. That might change a little bit, but I gotta get my angle right. I gotta bring this up a little bit, and then we'll tack it into place, and then I'll have to measure from my side triangles there. But let me get this tacked in place real quick. I need to find me a little level put here so I can get that level. Let me see what I can come up with. All right, fellas, this is the only level I've got in the whole place. So this is the only way I know to make sure I got that bottom piece level this way. Put this feller here to get it up above the frame. Put this feller here and look at it. What does it tell us? Tells us we're a little bit out. I need to come up with this end a little bit. Approximately there. Put that back on there, put that back on there. What we got now? Well, if I could see, I think that's level, but my eyes are terrible. I believe that's pretty close, yes sir. Let me tack it one more time, and then we'll pull that out, and I got the measure for these side pieces. I may chop that off a little bit. That's a wee bit long. All right, let me pull that off, and like I said, we may chop that off a little bit, and then I'll make my side pieces. Ooh, my knee's hurting me. Oh. All right, here is my pieces that I come up with right there. One shall go there. One shall go over here, and I may, after I get it welded up, we may chop that off a little more. I don't know if I want to go flat or just give it a round. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I need to tack them up. Then I'll probably be done for the night. As you can see, this thing got dark. I had to leave for a little while to go get something. I'll show you what that is in a minute. But let me get this tacked together first. Well, there is 1/2 of one motor mount right there. I'm gonna clean it up a little more. I'm gonna see if a flap disc won't clean these edges up a little more, because they look pretty rough when you grind them. I went ahead and rounded these corners off too. It looks better. Might take even more off, I don't know. I'll just have to see. But I think we're gonna call her a night right there. Tomorrow we'll get the other half done and hopefully get that one done over there. But let me go over here and show you what I went and got here just a little while ago. I went and picked up this old motor a little while ago. It's a 327. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I ain't telling you what it goes in. It's not my car yet. I have asked about buying it. He ain't there yet. Might be eventually. But he has asked me about, building the motor for it, putting it in the car and getting it running. Who knows, by that time, it may be mine. But most likely you will see this motor and the car eventually, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, I don't know. But most likely we'll build this motor and put it in the car. Well, it is the next day, and I done made some modifications on this upper motor mount. And let me get down here and show you. Remember how it came straight out and then dropped down? Well, I just cut a big chunk of it out because it looked goofy. I didn't like how it looked, so I did that right there. I think it looks a lot better. I hit the edges here with a flap disc, made them look a little better. Then I went ahead and drilled a hole and stuck my motor mount on there. So that's basically what it's going to look like. And then this bottom motor mount is just going to be a flat plate right here, and it'll have angled sides, and then I'll have a back piece welded to the frame right here. We'll be done. So let me get some measurements and we'll go to cutting metal for that bottom half. Well, let me tell y'all this for the second time because I didn't hit the record button the first time. It sounded pretty good though. Anyway, this is my top of the bottom motor mount. And the issue I'm facing right now is this frame does not run parallel to this, which means if I just butt this plate up against the frame, it's going to be cockeyed. And I do not want that. I mean, it would work, but it don't look right. I want it square with this upper motor mount. So what we got to do, well, you can see down there the gap. See it moving? I got to figure out this angle from here to here and then cut it on this side of the metal there. So let me get my protractor out and, well, get my thinking cap on, and I'll figure that angle out and we'll cut that piece of metal. All right, I figured out my angel, whatever that is. I can't even see it. But anyway, I got the mark transferred right here. So let me get my cutoff wheel. We'll cut that off and then head on back over and get the next measurement. I already got the angle cut on this piece right here, and it looks pretty doggone good, if I must say so myself. Looks square, parallel, whatever you want to call it. So now what I got to do is I got to measure from here down to this lip on the frame on either side, because it's going to be different because the frame's angled down this way. So let me get the measurements. We'll make us some side pieces, and I'll make me a piece on the end here. We'll get her tacked in place, get a hole drilled, and we'll be done with one motor mount. Here is what I have deduced from my measuring and figuring. This is the side piece. Here's the the top, and well, it goes like this actually. And this measurement is my left hand side. I haven't done the right hand side yet. But let me get over here and measure this out, and we'll cut it and get her fitted good, get her tacked in, and we'll do the other side. That grinding wheel is garbage. Woo, that's hotter than the devil. Yes, sir. It sure is hot. All right, here is the bottom half of the motor mount. It's just flat plate with these two wedges. I was going to put something here. I don't think there's any need. I'm just going to weld her around here. I think it'll be just fine and dandy. What I'm doing right now, I got the biscuit out. I don't need it. I'm going to eyeball center. I'm going to clamp her up, and we'll do a little transfer punching. Then I'll tell you what else we got to do. Ooh. Now, if I can find the hammer, I'll do a little transfer punching. Yes, sir, I got a mark. Now, let me take this off. And what I got to do now, this is the bottom half of the motor mount. It goes up in like this. That hole is 950 thousandths, pretty good sized hole. My little drill press is not going to do it. So we'll have to go to Mama's, use the big drill press. May even put it in the mill, just mill it out. I don't know, we'll just have to see. Also, I'm thinking about slotting this hole just a little bit. So I'm going to take that off and we'll go over and do that and drill this out. And may go ahead and weld this up and we'll have one half done. Well, I got the big hole bored out, that's 1 inch. That mount fits in there just fine and dandily. I did not slot this hole. I just put it on the motor and everything lines up good. And this hole is a little oversized. This is 7/16, that's 1/2 inch. So I think it'll be just fine. If we have to slot it, I can. That ain't no big deal. What I'm gonna do now is weld all this up, clean it up real good. Then we'll put it on the motor and I'll tack this to the frame and then I'll have to wait till I pull the motor out to finish welding that. But for now, let's get this welded up. We now have one motor tree mount done. Yes, sir. It don't look too bad. I cleaned them welds up with the flat disc. They look a whole lot better than they did. Of course, I'll have to weld that up, once I pull the motor out. But yes, sir, I'm pretty pleased with that. Got to make another for that side over there. That's probably what I'll do the rest of the day. And now we have numeral 20 motor mount. Yes, sir. Let's jack it up. Take this cradle off. I managed to get in there weld on both sides of the motor mount over here too. So let's take the cradle off, put the weight down on, just see what happens. All right, let's jack her up. Get this cradle off. Get it out of the way. Get out of here. All right, let's let her down on the brand spankingly new motor tree mounts. Here we go, look at there. Oh yeah. Looks like it came from the factory. All right, I got the motor mounts tightened now. I'm fixing to simulate me stomping on the gas pedal. Let's see how good they hold up. Whoa, pow! Whoa, pow! I think they're pretty good. I ain't gonna lie to you, I am very glad to have that done. Sure am. I don't think it looked too bad considering I used a grinder and cut off wheel and plasma cutter. No, sir, I think it looked pretty good. Yes, sir. Anyway, I'm gonna go in the house because it's, I don't know, 11:30, 12 o'clock. I'm a night owl, but this is still kind of late for me to be working. Anyway, I'm going in the house. See y'all tomorrow. Well, I've been down there at the sawmill half a day, and let me tell you, it ain't been good. No, sir. As you can see, my old Farmall F30 it ain't here. It's right here because it won't start. No sparky spark at all. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know that I'll ever figure that out. But anyway, we got this old W9 running, and it's been pulling it. But we're cutting oak now. You know, last time we was cutting poplar, I think. And it's, well, it ain't wanting to do real good. We've had nothing but trouble. I think we've cut maybe 2 boards in the last 2 or 3 hours. What the issue is the blade has been walking this way, the whole shaft and everything. Well, this little piece of wood is the only thing that keeps this blade straight, and it's been acting up, and we've been trying to get it to act right, and it don't want to. But I think, well, we just made a new piece of wood and fixing to try it out, and this carriage here was running it back. Well, as you can see, she jumped off the track. Yes, sure did. He's unloading 2 big old logs off the back of the truck right now. I think once they get that done, we're gonna call it a day. I'm gonna head to the house and try to do a little work on the 40. Well, I spent probably a couple hours last night up under this car trying to figure out how and where I was gonna mount that rack and pinion. I told y'all before, it takes me forever to make up my mind how I'm gonna do something. Well, because there's just so many different ways you can do it. Plus there's problems you gotta work around. But when I finally figure out how I want to do it, you can't hardly change my mind. Anyway, I spent a couple hours out here trying to figure out how I was going to do it. Finally got it. So let me get under there and just show you what I'm going to do. This is approximately exactly the location that it's got to go. I might scoot it over a little bit because I'm a little close to that exhaust there. Probably about right there maybe. It's got to be this low. I don't want it this low, but it's got to be, because I got to have room for my fittings. If I go up higher, well, the frame gets in the way. It's got to be this far back because there's a cutout in the frame right here, right under that motor mount, actually. And, well, this is how I'm planning on doing it. There's going to be a plate bolted to the frame here. So if I put it up there, I won't have no room for this 4th bolt, and I want 4 bolts in this steering. Yes, I sure do. So anyway, I had to scoot it back. Plus there's a rivet right there, which I can knock that out if I have to. But anyway, it's far enough back now where I got enough room on this frame to put 4 bolts. You know, be bolted on the outside like the transmission cross member. Anyway, it's gonna be a flat plate here. Another one come down here. And then of course it'll be gusseted here. Well, if you look at this mount, this is a rubber mount. It's D-shaped. This side is flat, and it's, you know, it sinks in, I don't know, 5/8 of an inch. Well, on this vertical piece, I'm gonna mount or weld a piece of solid square that's going to help locate it. That's what that's for. It'll keep it from twisting and rocking back and forth. And well, let me find it. Here's the bushing for the other side, just D-shaped. One side's flat, and that's what locates it. So that's how I'm going to do it basically. Flat, angle, gusset, solid bar, and then the clamps. Let me tell you about the clamps. Those clamps for that rack, they have eluded me for a couple weeks now. Every night when I get done out here, I'll go inside, get on the interwebs, and look for those clamps. And they can't find nothing. I know this fits an 88 Cavalier, and that's what I've been looking up. Sometimes I'll search for a 90 or an 86 or an 84, and it doesn't list them. Even went to a GM website, looked up an exploded view of this rack. It'll show the clamps in the picture. Underneath where the parts are listed, there's no number, no part number. It's like it's been discontinued. You know, don't even have a part number to look up on another website. I decided that I don't know the size of those clamps, the bolt hole, the ear where the bolt hole goes through. Don't know how big that is. So I said, MLS says do not build those brackets until you get all the parts, because trust me, I'll build it and then they'll be bigger than what I built it for and have to start all over. So I ain't doing that. Anyway, I got up this morning, I said, I've got to find those clamps. So I looked up this rack. It's a 22-109, I think is what it is. Cardone rebuilt rack. And I know it fits several different GM cars. It's the J car platform. Anyway, looked up that number, come across a website that listed all the cars that it fit. I thought, well, I tell you what, let me look up a 84 Pontiac Grand Am. First site, after I did the Google search, the first site, I believe it was gmpartsonline.com, something like that. Looked up the exploded view, guess what? They had the clamps in the picture. Scroll down in the list of parts. They had the clamps listed, yes sir, with the part number. Ended up buying the parts from that website. Well, I got an email a few minutes ago that said these parts will ship 6 days from now. Oh, that's good. So we're not working on a rack mount for at least another week. So, well, let me tell you this too. You know, I took 3 days off to rest my knee. Well, it's hurt me on time for this week's video. It's gonna be pretty short. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, what else we can work on because this is due out tomorrow. I think what we'll do is let's mount the clutch slave cylinder. I've been wanting to do that for a while. We'll get it mounted, make us a bracket for that. And I don't know, we might find something else to do. All right, here is the slave cylinder. This is just like what's on Dude, so is this master cylinder. Fits a 59 Ford, I think a F100 or F1, whatever you want to call it. It's got to go approximately right here. If I can get my phone in there so y'all can see. Approximately right there. There's the clutch fork right here. So I want that in line with that. So I think what I'm going to do, I got 2 holes right here. I don't know what they're for. Ain't got a clue. But what I think I'm going to do is either get a piece of angle iron bolted here or just make a piece of angle iron. And then have another piece of flat stock going down there. And then bolt this to that flat stock, and that'll pretty much be that. So let me get over here and see what kind of metal I can find, and we'll get that made. All right, this is what I found. This is a piece of metal I had bent from where I used to work. I don't remember what the project was for, but apparently I never used it. So it's got my angle like I need. This will be the block, the bell housing, back the car that way. And we'll bolt the slave cylinder on this side. I want to go 2 1/4 inch this way here and cut it off. So approximately right in that area there. And tall, how tall it is? Well, I don't know, I ain't figured that out yet. Let me get that cut first. Got me a new grinding wheel. That other one I had on there, man, that thing was rougher than a cob. This is 150 grit, and I've already tried it out. Let me tell you, she grinds pretty doggone smoothly. All right, I have determined where my holes need to be for the bell housing. This side is going to the bell housing, then your slave cylinder will be right here. I've determined that center line of this to center line of the bolts in the bell housing is 1 1/4 inch. So I got to do some thinking and some maths, mark my holes, drill them. I'll be right back after I do that. All right, I got my first hole drilled. I just want to show y'all how I'm going to determine the second hole because these are staggered. They're not on the same plane. Well, I got it bolted here, and as you can see, I got me a transfer screw in there. So what I'm going to do is get this up here and clamp my slave cylinder to this. I'll tighten that bolt up, and it should give me a mark from that transfer screw, and then there's my second hole. All right, I got my 1 bolt tightened up. You can see my transfer screw right in there, hopefully. Yeah, right there. Got it tightened up. Let's take this loose and see if we got us a mark for our second hole. Well, there's my punch mark right there. So I can focus it. Yes, sir. Well, I got the holes drilled in my bracket. Got her bolted in. I'm just holding my slave up here, making sure I'm not hitting the block over here, make sure it's lined up with the clutch fork. Looks pretty good, so I think I'm gonna take it off and mark these holes right here. Go ahead and drill them out. And I think we might put us a gusset right here because this, this sees quite a bit of force. So I think we might put us a little gusset right here. And then I think we'll be done with that. I'm gonna cut it off, cut the top off too, because it don't need to be that big. Round the corners, make it look a little bit better. All right, I'm pushing that all the way up against there and bringing it back about 1/8 inch. Just give me a little bit of clearance. And then we're gonna take this here transfer punch We're gonna mark us a hole, then we're gonna drill it. What size are you, little buddy? I gotta get me a vise instead of keeping on drilling into my table. I ain't gonna have nothing left if I keep drilling holes in it. All right, I got my holes drilled. Now I'm making my little gusset plate to put in that. So let me get it cut off. Oh, that is really hot in my pants. Woohoo! Son of a gun. Dead gum. Woohoo! I'd like to burn my ankle off. Woo. All right, I'm fixing to chop her off because I don't need that much, and we're going to round the corners off. I think we'll be done with it. Well, there it is. I'm glad to get that done. I think it looks pretty doggone good. Got my little gusset in there. That'll really strengthen it up quite a bit. I'm not gonna make my little adjusting rod just yet because I don't have a clutch or a throwout bearing in here. So I don't know exactly, you know, how long to make it. We'll do that later. Whenever we get the transmission and everything back together, that won't take long. But yes, I think it looks pretty good. The only thing I do regret, this is galvanized, and galvanized, it's aggravating to paint sometimes, but hey, at least it won't rust. Take it home, kaplow, kaplow, kaplow. Well, I think that'll do it for this week. Like I said, it's gonna be another short video. I hate that, but I had to rest my knees, fellas. If I'm crippled, I can't get out here and work, and there won't be no video at all. Hopefully next week, we'll be back on track. Videos will be a little bit longer. We'll get a little more stuff done. But let me ask y'all this. This is serious talk. When I started this series on this car, I thought it would do pretty good. You know, it's 1940 Chevrolet Coupe. Modifying it, getting back on the road, hot rodding it a little bit. I thought that's what people want to see. Well, my views, they're not doing very good on it. I got 65,000 subscribers. I'm getting about 30,000 views in a week's time on these videos. That's not all that great, and I'm not sure what y'all want to see. And I may be preaching to the choir because the 30,000 you're probably watching now, you're going to watch my videos. Well, when I built this shop, I got 30,000 views roughly each video of this. And I think it's safe to say I got 30,000 loyal subscribers. Y'all are awesome. I appreciate that a bunch. So like I said, I may be preaching to the choir, but if you don't want to see this, what do you want to see? Because I really thought people want to see old cars getting worked on, modified, and get it put back on the road. Apparently I'm wrong. I know what some of y'all are going to say. You want to see will it runs? That's not what I do all the time. I enjoy doing them sometimes, but that's not what I do. There's channels out there that do that pretty regularly. If that's what you want to see, well, you might want to tune into them. Well, for one, I can't afford to buy a car every week and get it running. And I got a half acre here, and I'll fill this half acre up pretty quickly doing will it runs every week. So that's out of the question. Am I dragging it out too long? Is it too technical? I mean, I have to do the work. So if I got to do the work, I might as well show it. I'm not a big production company. I can't get this done in 2 weeks. One-man show. I don't have anybody helping me behind the scenes. So it's going to take, well, what I'm doing on this car would probably take most people months, a couple of years. I'm trying to do it in a couple months, 3 months. And I don't know how to speed it up anymore. I really don't want to be honest with you. But anyway, my question is, what do y'all want to see? If not this, then let me know in the comments. So, you know, maybe we can sort of transition to whatever y'all want to see. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, hit that like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. And until next time, go do something. Blur, blur.